Hi, this is David Carr. I am the chair, the proud chair, of EVV CON 2022 coming up on April 23rd. I want you to go on over to evvcon.com and register. But before you do that, I should share with you some reasons why you want to register. This is the Elevate the Value of Virtual Conference. Virtual speaking, virtual coaching, virtual teaching, virtual leadership, whatever it is that you do online, including those of you who maybe didn't necessarily come to the online world virtually, but when you do need to speak online, when you do need to communicate online, how do you reach through the camera lens? How do you make a connection with your audience, regardless of the fact that they're not in the same room with you? There are specific techniques that you need to learn. And we have some great speakers. We have a dozen great speakers who are going to share with you various aspects of how you can be more effective in this more online world. And I'm going to show you a little bit about that. So this is the website that I want you to come on over to. You can scroll down, and if you go about halfway down, you'll see that we do have a world champion of public speaking, Mike Carr, who's going to be part of the event. Now, Mike won the Toastmasters World Championship of Public Speaking in 2020, the year that it was a surprise that they wound up online. These people had been practicing and honing their craft for years so that they can get up on a stage in front of thousands of people and give a dazzling mini keynote that they would be recognized for. And instead, it turned out that they were confined to a little Zoom box. But Mike Carr made maximum advantage of that little Zoom box. He played with the camera frame. He used it as a tool to help tell his story more effectively. Not that he was doing dazzling special effects. It's still not appropriate in the context of that particular speech contest to be doing screen sharing or crazy virtual backgrounds or anything like that. But he still paid attention to the opportunities of the medium and made the most of them. So Mike's in sort of the middle of our program. Now you will see that these are all expressed in U.S. Eastern Time. But if you come to the website from anywhere else in the world, you should see a time zone translation will automatically be displayed. Based on your computer clock, it will show you what time that particular part of the event will be beginning for us. So for people in the UK, the events are going to be in the later afternoon and into the evening. On the Pacific coast of the US, they'll be starting a little bit earlier in the morning. For our folks in Australia who wanted to participate, yeah, it's going to be crazy early in the morning when we first get started, but we've spaced out the program so that by the time we get to our webinar contest, and we do have a unique format for our webinar contest, by the time we get to that point, it'll be 7 a.m. for our folks in Sydney and similar time zones. And so we hope to get participation from all over the world. First up, we have Amanda Mae Gray, who has worked as a model and is going to talk to you about how to look good on camera, how to create an effective presence on camera. And I'm sure I could use some coaching on that, but I'm doing the best I can. I am a volunteer. Dave Armstrong has run some large virtual events professionally. He's going to talk about the fact that if you're doing something that is more in the webinar context, more in the professional context, you don't want to do it all yourself. You want to divide up the work so that you can focus on speaking and other people are holding down the fort in terms of maybe monitoring the chat, handling some of the other technical aspects, promoting things on social media. So he's going to talk about that teamwork aspect. I think that's very important. We do have a speech on using humor in your speech, and some of that's the same online as off. I always think that a lot of the skills are portable. If you're effective on stage, you can be effective on screen, but there are some different things you need to learn too. And I've seen some of Dan's recorded speeches. He definitely makes use of the virtual stage when he is in that environment, and makes use of the camera and speaks to the camera. Susan Lindler, I'm excited to have as part of this event. Susan focuses on teaching CIOs, CEOs, how to tell the story of the wonderful technology that they've created. Make that story effective. Understand that just because it is the best technology doesn't mean that everybody's instantly going to grasp that it is the best technology and that they should spend lots of money for it. So she focuses on how do you tell your story. I was excited also because Susan was a little bit reluctant to give up part of her Saturday, but when she saw the rest of the lineup, she says, this is exactly where I want to be on a Saturday, learning from some of the best speakers in the world. And that's why you should be there too. Dave Bricker is also a strong storyteller. He's going to talk specifically about taking your speech from the page, that your initial script writing, to the stage, to the screen, how those are different, and how he makes the most of them. Rich Hopkins, in the Toastmasters world anyways, is a little bit famous for having gone around during the pandemic year and visited every district virtually. So he took advantage of the opportunities. And have I said that yet? Take advantage of the opportunities, overcome the obstacles. That's kind of the theme of the event. Elevate the value of virtual is the theme, but it's sort of my shorthand for it. We have tech tips, which are 3 to 5 minute little tutorials on Prezi, on various technologies for presenting, on leading a meeting, organizing a meeting, anything that could be useful. I was one of the speakers for Tech Tips last time, and they cut my mic right at 5 minutes because we have to keep the event going. So you're not going to get a super in-depth tutorial, but you're going to get a taste of why you might want to learn more about that technology, something that we hope will excite you. After Carr speaks, shortly after, we will have an intermission, again, so the folks in Australia can catch up with the event, that it can be morning for them. Also because we don't want to keep you chained in front of a computer for hours and hours without a break. So check in with your family, get a meal, come back and join us for our webinar contest. So the webinar contest, the point of it is that it is a virtual speaking contest. It is intentionally a virtual speaking contest. I talked a little bit more about Mike Carr was part of a group of people who expected to be up on a big stage. But what about when you're designing a presentation for online specifically, and then you can take advantage of screen sharing, of comments in the chat? How do you take the best advantage of that to create engagement with your audience? Roger Corville, who we had as a speaker at one of our earlier events, talked about thinking about it in terms of television. Something new should appear on the screen every few seconds. And, you know, I think some speakers, some virtual speakers, their best special effect is their face. I think that's probably true of Mike Carr. He may know how to use some of the other whiz-bang things too. But certainly the basic speaking techniques are important, but we do award extra points in the webinar contest for creating engagement with the audience somehow. So that can be as simple as having people post questions or comments in the chat or feedback in the chat. At a club level, one of my favorite webinar contest speeches was a woman named Sunny Fridge did this Family Feud thing where if people in the audience gave the right answer, it would go ding, 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 and the answer would come up on screen. Maybe some of you aren't old enough to remember Family Feud, but it was a TV game show. Anyway, Kat Mulvihill, I was excited to get involved because she has some of the best YouTube videos about how to use Zoom, different techniques within Zoom, presentation technology in general. Kat, you definitely want to see. Whit Andrews is an old friend. We were reporters together at Internet World magazine back when the commercial web was just starting to become a thing. He has since gone on to become one of the top analysts at Gartner. He covers AI, he covers all sorts of things. He helps CIOs and CTOs, and to some extent CEOs and boards, understand where they should be investing their money in technology, how they should be managing it so that it is effective for the organization. And over the past years, part of his remit actually has been talking about how do you use this virtual environment effectively. He had his own experience where he was chairing the Gartner Symposium, which is a huge technology event that typically takes over all the Disney hotels in Orlando, thousands of people, and they had to somehow come up with an online equivalent during the COVID years. He did that twice. So he has some experience about learning how to do that better, and he talks regularly with clients about their challenges and their opportunities in terms of using the virtual and the hybrid online-offline environment more effectively. Sherry Fitz usually works with financial advisors, including how they can connect with their audiences in a virtual setting. She's going to talk to us about creating the emotional connection through the online medium, why it's more difficult, why it's important, how you're going to do it anyway. Barbara Beckley coaches folks on how to more effectively use social media in promoting themselves and promoting their businesses. Linda Marie Miller, our talent committee chair, had taken Barbara's course and says that she's somebody who's going to share with you practical tips. So don't miss Barbara's speech. Actually, you're going to have to miss a few of these because we're going to have several different tracks. But if you sign up for the event, we will be publishing recordings to technology permitting. Jenny Liu is with a Toastmasters club called Virtual Parliamentarians, and she's going to be talking about ethical leadership, how we can use the rules effectively to ensure fairness, to keep everybody involved. We will have a second tech session very close to the end of the event, and we will have a little after party where we will celebrate everything that has gone on. So that's VTM Con. I want to see you there. It's going to be great. This is the place where you come to elevate the value of virtual. Virtual speaking, virtual leadership. Take advantage of the opportunities, overcome the obstacles. Join us, please, on April 23rd. Sign up over at evvcon.com.